Pranam, Jai Janendra. As usual, we'll start with the prayers and carry on with the class. Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayariyanam, Namo Vatsyayanam, Namo Loye Sabba Sahunam, Eso Panchanamukaro, Sabba Pava Panasano, Mangalanancha Sabvesim Parmam Havai Mangalam. Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayariyanam, Namo Vatsyayanam, Namo Loye Sabba Sahunam. एसो पंचनमुक्कारो सप्प पावपणासनो मंगलाणंच सप्पे सिंपडमं हवै मंगलम नमो अरिहंताणं नमो सिद्धाणं नमो आयर्याणं नमो वत्सायाणं नमो लोये सब्ब साहुणं एसो पंचनमुक्कारो सप्प पावपणासनो मंगलाणंच सप्पे सिंपडमं हवै मंगलम वीर सर्वसुरा सुरेंद्र महितो वीरंबुदा संश्रिता वीरेणाभियत स्वकर्म निश्चयो वीराय नित्यं नमः वीरातीर्थमिदं प्रभुतमतुलं वीरशिघोरं तपो वीरे श्रीधृति कीर्तिकान्ति निश्चय श्रीवीरभद्रं दिश कमठे धरणेन्द्र च सोचितं कर्म कुर्वते प्रभुस्तुल्य मनोवृत्ति पार्श्वनाथ श्रियेस्तु वः उवसगहरं पासं पासमन्दामेकमगणमुखं विसहर विसनिनासं मङ्गलकल्याणावासं विसहर फुलिङ्गमन्तं कंठे धारयिजोषयामणुवो तसगहरोगमारिडठजराजन्ति ओसामं चिट्ठौ दुरेमन्तो द्विजपणामो विबहुफलो होय नरतिर्येषु विजीवा पावन्ति न दुःखदोगचम् तुह समत्ते लद्दे चिन्तामणिकप्पाय वै ये पावन्ति अविघ्नं जीवाय रामरं ठाणं ये सन्तो महायस पतिभर निभरेण हियेण तादेव दिज्यबोहिं भवे भवे पास क्षण चंद अंगूठे अमृतवसे लप्ति तड़ा भंडार श्री गुरु गौतम समरिये मनवांछित फलदातार. Welcome everybody. What I think we will do this week is carry on with the story of Bhagwan Parshvanath, because we deviated into further discussion last week. We'll take some time to recap on what we had learned the week before, and carry on with the story of Bhagwan Parshvanath. And once we finish that, we'll come back to our discussions, and we'll explore the answers to the question that I had left you with last week. I hope you remember what the question was. You'll have to remind me. Okay. Bhagwan Parshvanath, our 23rd TIRTHANKAR, we are trying to learn about his life story from the birth in which the soul achieves a level of emancipation that then guarantees the future road to moksha. And as we remember, we started off with the story of Bhagwan Parshvanath's soul as Marubhuti, the son of a Brahmin Purohit and his brother called Kamat, and their association, and the seeds of hatred in the mind of his elder brother Kamat that were sowed in that life, and how that followed him life after life. And Bhagwan Parshvanath's soul continuing to progress spiritually and progressively with each life, climbing higher and higher in his level of spiritual enlightenment. And in contrast, Kamat's soul continuing to engage in his hatred and his total lack of understanding of the soul, and constantly acquiring more and more bad karmas and ending up in lots of bad places as a Tiryanch, meaning as a five-sense life form, and in Narak. And this cycle carries on, and even in the life that he gets as a human being that we learned about as Kurangak, who is a Bill, who is a hunter, spends all his life as a hunter, and in the end ends up with killing the Muni Bhagwant, who was Murubhuti's soul, and rejoices in that killing. And as a result of that particular incident and his subsequent and having spent most of his life in killing animals as a means of earning his livelihood or feeding himself, his soul ends up in the seventh hell. Now, let me just share my slides with you. Feel free to switch on your videos if you like. This is week 11 at the bottom. Sorry, I missed to correct this. Just to remind ourselves of where we were. After completing the lifespan in the 12th heaven, the soul of Murubhuti took birth in Subankar Nagari, located in western Mahavideha Kshetra, at the powerful king Vajravirya and Queen Lakshmivati's palace. The parents named their son Vajranab, who in just a few years' time grew up to be a valorous king. Very fortunately, in this life, Bhagavan Parshvanath's soul comes into contact with Tirthankar Paramatma, who at that time was present in Mahavidya Kshetra in the same place. Name was Tirthankar Kshemankar, whose Samvasran was set up in that very kingdom's garden. On learning that the Deshna's arrangements had happened, King Vajranab was extremely happy. He thanked the stars for this. Listening to the beautiful Deshna of the Tirthankar Paramatma, the king instantly experienced dispassion, and handing over the kingdom's responsibilities to his son, he took Diksha from the Lord, and he left for the jungle and did a lot of religious meditation there. In the same jungle, one angry Bhil, Adivasi named Kurangak, who was Kamat's reincarnation, was passing his life doing hunting and killing all creatures in the jungle. While he was passing through the jungle, seeing the Muni engrossed in meditation, he is furious because he thinks that this is a bad omen, him seeing Muni Bhagwant as he's out to kill somebody, and he becomes quite angry. All of this, as we know, is generated and fired up by his inherent hatred for this particular soul that he had developed over lifetimes. He fires an arrow at the Muni and injures him and ultimately kills him. While Vajranab Muniraj breathed his last, he had no ill feelings towards Kurangak. Vajranab Muniraj, being in tremendous religious meditation, reincarnated in the Madhya Graivayak Devlok as Lalitang Dev. Kurangak's rebirth then happened in the seventh hell, where one has to go through immense suffering for a very long period of time. So that was a brief recap. We'll go into some points of note that we discussed not last week, the week before last, but just to remind everybody, just some areas that we explored further 2 weeks ago. Vajranabh was born in the western Mahavideh or Kshetra of Jambudvip in the city of Subankar, which is in the Sugandh Vijay. Now, Sugandh Vijay is one separate world. So, as we learned, each Mahavideh Kshetra has 32 separate Vijays, and each Vijay can have a Tirthankar by itself. And as we also reminded ourselves that a Tirthankar Paramatma can exist in every Vijay simultaneously. So there was a time during Bhagwan Ajitnath's reign in his Tirth in this Bharat that there was a Tirthankar Paramatma present in each of the 32 Vijays of all the 5 Mahavideh Kshetras. So in total, 160 Tirthankar Paramatmas were alive at the same time. And there was one Tirthankar Paramatma in each of the 5 Bharat Kshetras and each of the 5 Airavat Kshetras. So in total, there were 170 Tirthankars alive at that time, at the same time. So Vajranabh in Western Mahavideh Kshetra of this Jambudvip was in Sugandha Vijay. The monk Vajranabh, he acquired the power of flight, Akashgamini Vidya, and as a result of his ascetic practices, and he flies to the Sukach Vijay, which in fact is a different world of this Mahavideh Kshetra. The snake Kamat's soul, following his life in the 6th hell, is born as a human in the forest of Jwalangiri in the Sukach Vijay. So fate was pulling the two together. So Vajranabh Muni, having been born in a different world, moves to a different world where Kamat's soul is born as a bhil, as a hunter in the forests of Jwalangiri in the Sukach Vijay. His name in this life is Kurangak. He is a bhil, a hunter, and earns his living by killing many animals in the forest of Jwalangiri. In time, the Muni Vajranabh comes to the same forest of Jwalangiri, and on a fateful day, as the sun set and the night began, he is standing in meditation in this forest. The atmosphere and the surroundings are frightening with dangerous animals and birds making fearful sounds. Vajranabh Muni is steadfast and calm and oblivious of the dangers around him and at total peace within himself. In the morning, as the sun rose, the Muni started walking. Kurangak, the hunter with his bow and arrows, is in the forest to hunt. He sees Vajranabh Muni from a distance and believes that this is a bad omen for him. This makes him very angry. As a result of the enmity bred over many lives, Kurangak shoots an arrow in anger and cruelty towards the Muni Vajranabh. Muni Vajranabh is injured fatally but retains his equanimity and sits down on the ground and bows to Arihant and Siddhs and asks for forgiveness of all his past sins, takes a vow of fasting to death, asks for forgiveness from all living beings for any disfavor or violence towards them in any life, and in that very peaceful state, he dies peacefully in a state of equanimity with no enmity towards any living being, and particularly not engaging in any anger or dislike or hatred towards Kurangak, who had just shot the arrow that was killing him. His soul leaves the body and is born as a Dev called Lalitang in the Madhya middle Devlok. Kurangak Bill, on seeing that he had killed the Muni with one arrow, was proud of his strength and skill and rejoiced in his cruel act. Having spent his whole life earning his living by killing innocent animals, Kurangak eventually dies and is born in the seventh hell in a place called Raurav Narakavas. So that was the name of the that particular area in the seventh hell called Raurav. The next life, the eighth bow, where Bhagwan Parshvanath Ji, Marubhuti Ji becomes a Chakravati called Chakravati Suvarna Bahu. In a different text, the name of this Chakravati is also mentioned as Kanakrat. So he probably had two names. And Kamat's soul in this life, as we will see, becomes a lion. In the eastern Mahavidya Kshetra this time, King Kulish Bahu was ruling over Purnagar. One night, his wife, Queen Sudarshana, saw 14 dreams indicating the birth of a Chakravati. Now, these 14 auspicious dreams we all know about, that every Tirthankar Paramatma's mother sees them when the Tirthankar Paramatma's soul is born in the mother's womb. So when in the moment that is conceived, the Tirthankar Paramatma is conceived, the mother sees these 14 dreams. There is a slight, I think, variation between the dreams that are seen by the mother of a Chakravati and the mother of Tirthankar Paramatma. But a Chakravati's birth is heralded by the mother seeing these 14 dreams as well. After the birth of the child, his name was kept as Suvarna Bahu, and in another text, as I just mentioned, is also named as Kanakarat. The child was the reincarnation of King Vajranab. When he grew up, he married Princess Padmavati, later winning over the six khands or the six continents of that particular world, and he attained the status of a Chakravati, and for a long period he ruled over his kingdom nicely. Once Tirthankar Jagannath, whose Tirth was reigning in that place at that time, arrived in the kingdom of Chakravati King Surnabahu. On getting the news that Tirthankar Paramatma has come, King Surnabahu went to the Lord, listened to the Deshna that Tirthankar Bhagwan Jagannath was delivering, and he returned. So you will find a slightly different, a shortened version of what follows elsewhere. But in Trisasti Shalaka Purush Charitra, it is mentioned that Tirthankar Jagannath then continued on his vihar. Suvarna Bahu, on returning to his palace, and I think I've put this in here because it is actually quite relevant to hopefully the discussion that we will have subsequently. Suvarnabahu, on returning to his palace, kept on thinking that he had seen these people, like these flying people that he was seeing all around as they were coming and going in the Samvasaran to listen to the Tirthankar Paramatma. This is what he had seen these devs, these kinds of devs before, and kept on thinking about this. He kept on thinking about this and entered a state of a deeper contemplation, and he acquired Jati Smaran Gnan. So he remembered his past lives. He remembers his past life as Lalitang Dev and his other lives. And he reflects on the fact that after each bhav as a Dev, he became a human being with a significantly inferior quality of material happiness as a human, as compared with the freedom and the lack of any kind of restriction and huge powers as a day when you don't have to earn a living, when you don't have any illness, when you don't have any limitation, you can fly anywhere, you can enjoy, and the whole life is just devoted to enjoyment of all the material wealth and circumstances that you are privy to in that life. Compared with that, the life as a human being is significantly very limited. And he thinks that in spite of having lived the life of a Dev, every time you become a human being, you become satisfied and you become very keen on the limited uh, pleasures that you are now experiencing compared to what you've experienced before. And in spite of that, you carry on with life and not even missing what great pleasures you had experienced before. He thought that in spite of his efforts, again, in the human lives, he had not yet achieved nirvana. So again, he remembers that he had made efforts to actually uh, develop spiritually, but he had not been successful in achieving nirvana or moksha yet. As a human being, he continued to be satisfied with the significantly inferior material happiness compared with that of the Devs. He found this unacceptable and he decided to become a monk to change the state of affairs. Now, there's something which is quite relevant here that I'd just like to read. What is mentioned in Trisasya Shalaka Purush Charitra by Hemchandracharya. તેમને જાતિ સ્મરણ જ્ઞાન ઉત્પન્ન થયું એટલે એ ચિંતવા લાગ્યા કે જ્યારે હું મારા પૂર્વ ભવ જોઉં છું ત્યારે પ્રત્યેક મનુષ્ય ભવમાં પ્રયત્ન કરવા છતાં પણ હજુ સુધી મારા ભવનો અંત આવ્યો નથી. જે દેવેન્દ્રપણાને પ્રાપ્ત થયો હોય તે પ્રાણી મનુષ્યપણામાં પણ પાછો તૃપ્તિ પામે છે. So in spite of having experienced much greater level of pleasures, we still find satisfaction in the very limited pleasures that we experience in this life. Not only are we satisfied, but we yearn for more and more of the same kind of inferior, very tainted kinds of pleasure, because none of our pleasures are entirely pleasurable. A lot of them are followed by all kinds of problems afterwards. So our lives are full of ups and downs. None of us have lives which are completely smooth and very relaxed. We have everything happening at the same time. Some things are good, a lot of things are difficult, there are some struggles, and even the most luckiest of us all have gone through those kinds of ups and downs, some of them major. But in spite of that, all of us would have experienced the pleasures as a Dev, but have forgotten that, and we find satisfaction in this. That is what he's contemplating. અહો કર્મથી જેનો સ્વભાવ ઢંકાઈ ગયો છે. So because my true self is hidden by the karmas, એવા આત્માને આ શો મોહ થયો છે. So why am I still engrossed in this love of this limited pleasures? જેમ માર્ગ ભૂલેલો મુસાફર ભ્રાંત થઈને બીજે માર્ગે જાય છે, તેમ મોક્ષ માર્ગને ભૂલી ગયેલો પ્રાણી પણ સ્વર્ગ, મૂર્તિઓ, તિર્યંચ અને નરક ગતિમાં ગમનાગમન કર્યા કરે છે. Because like a traveler who has lost his way when he was traveling towards a much better place, so a traveler who is traveling towards moksha comes across all these various stops on the way, and in every stop he gets engrossed in the limitations in those stops, and because he is confused, he doesn't know his true self, he begins to enjoy himself in that very limited life, whereas his true goal of unsullied complete happiness in moksha is forgotten. સ્વર્ગ મૃત્યુ તિર્યંચ અને નરક ગતિમાં ગમનાગમન કર્યા કરે છે. And he ends up in narak, where there is only pain as a result of having lost his path. માટે હવે હું માત્ર મોક્ષ માર્ગને માટે જ વિશેષ પ્રયત્ન કરીશ. So now he decides that I am only going to concentrate on focusing towards going to moksha only. માટે હવે હું માત્ર મોક્ષ માર્ગને માટે જ વિશેષ પ્રયત્ન કરીશ, કેમ કે સામાન્ય પ્રયોજનમાં પણ કંટાળો પામવો નહીં. તે જ કલ્યાણનું મૂળ છે. આ પ્રમાણે નિશ્ચય કરીને સુવર્ણબાહુ ચક્રવર્તીએ પોતાના પુત્રને રાજ્ય પર બેસાડ્યો. તે સમયે શ્રી જગન્નાથ જીનેશ્વર પણ વિહાર કરતા ત્યાં પધાર્યા. સુવર્ણબાહુએ તત્કાળ પ્રભુ પાસે જઈને દીક્ષા લીધી અને ઉગ્ર તપસ્યા કરીને અનુક્રમે ગીતાર્થ થયા. પછી અનંત ભક્તિ વગેરે કેટલાક સ્થાનકોને સેવીને તે સદબુદ્ધિ સુવર્ણબાહુ મુનિએ તીર્થંકર નામ કર્મ ઉપાર્જન કર્યું. The king handed over his kingdom to his sons and took diksha. By doing penance in the jungle and devotedly doing a lot of worship of the Tirthankar Lord, he accomplished many of the 20 sthanaks and thereby bound Tirthankar Nam and Gotra Karma. So every soul who becomes a Tirthankar in the third life prior to the life as a Tirthankar Paramatma, they form up this particular karma called Tirthankar Nam Karma. By firming up, I mean that it becomes nikachit, meaning that it is then guaranteed to give him the punya or give him the status of a Tirthankar Paramatma, give them the status of Tirthankar Paramatma. And the path to achieve that is when they perform one or all 20 of these 20 sthanaks. That includes worship of Aryan Siddh and deep contemplation. We can at some stage in the future discuss what those 20 sthanaks are, but every Tirthankar Paramatma achieves their Tirthankar Nam Karma in that way. So those of you who remember the Snatra Puja that we perform at the beginning of any big puja, but even otherwise separately in the Derasar. Snatra Puja, by the way, is a celebration of a Bhagwan, Tirthankar Paramatma's birth. And the one that is most popular is the puja that was created by Veer Vijayji. And he says in that puja, जो हो वे मुझ शक्ति ईसी सभी जीव करू सासन रसी, ऐसी भाव दया दिल मा धरी. પછી it says વિષ સ્થાનક વિધિએ તપ કરી, ऐसी भाव दया दिल मा धरी. तीर्थंकर नाम कर्म निकाचनता. સરાગથી સંયમ આચરી વચમાં એક દેવનો ભવ કરી. સરાગથી સંયમ આચરી. With great pleasure, they follow the path of charitra sanyam. વચમાં એક દેવનો ભવ કરી, meaning they go to devlok in between. Not always. It's mentioned in the puja that it's a dev, but as we know, there are some Tirthankars like the next Tirthankar, the first Tirthankar in the next time cycle in this Parakshetra is currently in Narak, that is King Shranik. Vachma ek devano bhava kari, chavi pannar kshetre avatare. So out of these 15 kshetras, they would be born in any one of those 15 kshetras. Chavi pannar kshetre avatare, madhya khande pan rajvi kude. પટરાણી કુખે ગુણ નીલો, જેમ માન સરોવર હંસલો. સુખ સ્યાયાએ રજની શેષે, ઉતરતા સૌ 14 સુપન દેખે. So in his beautiful way he has created the scene of the journey of every Tirthankar Paramatma in this particular puja. So any of you who are interested, and if this group wants to be part of Sanatra Puja, then we can organize one if Sandeep Bhai is happy to do that. And then we can learn about Tirthankar Paramatma's journey. And this is standard for every Tirthankar Paramatma in that Sanatra Puja. So let me know if many of you are interested. You can message the group and then we can maybe work towards that. So he firms up the karma that is guaranteed to give him the status of a Tirthankar Paramatma in that particular life. Once Suvarnabahu Muni comes to a deep and dangerous forest called Shivarna near the Shirvarna near the mountain Shirgiri. With eyes still and focused on the sun, the Muni stands in meditation. The Bil Kurangak, after his next life in hell, had become a lion in this forest. Roaming about in the forest, the lion comes to the same area where Muni Suvarnabahu is meditating. The lion was hungry as a result of the hatred formed up over lifetimes, the lion attacked the Muni. On recognizing that death is near, the Muni takes a vow to forsake all food and drink and asks for forgiveness of any sins, asks for forgiveness from all living beings in the universe, and did not entertain any ill feelings towards the lion attacking him. The Muni's life ends there and the soul is born in the 10th heaven in the Viman celestial abode called Mahaprabh with a lifespan of 20 Sagarupams. And again, a point to note here, the lion dies sometime later and the soul is born in the 4th hell. So this time, following the life as a lion, his capacity to accumulate pap karma or bad karma is limited compared to the life as a human being, as a hunter. There he is accumulated enough karma to take him to 7th hell. Here as a lion, he has accumulated enough bad karma, enough pap karma to take him to the 4th hell with a slight lifespan of 10 sagarupams. So as you can see here, the difference between their lifespan here in this particular what follows is Bhagwan Parshvanath Ji is in Devlok with a lifespan of 20 Sagarupam, and the lion is in the 4th hell with a lifespan of 10 Sagarupam. So what happens subsequently? After that, the lion soul roams in a lot of other subhuman life forms, experiencing a lot of pain. So this picture depicts what is happening there. The Muni standing in meditation and the lion attacking him, and creating or inflicting severe wounds there on his chest. Just a reminder here now, the different lives have not completed their life 9 narrative there, but you can all see this. Okay, I'll end the slide show here now. That was a quick whistle top tour through that. I'm hoping that that made sense. Any questions on this, or shall we go on to the question that we asked last week? Please feel free to switch on your videos. If you want to recap any of the narrative that we mentioned, you can always do that as well. And Mira, when you're summarizing, if you want a copy of the slides, please let me know.
Okay.
પ્રણામ, એક ક્વેશ્ચન કરી શકો?
હા, બોલો.
એટલે આમાં જે આવી રીતે આ બંનેને જે વેરની ગાંઠ બંધાઈ હતી, તો આપણે એ જ વ્યક્તિ સાથે જ કાયમ મળતા હોઈએ કે પછી કોઈ બીજો આત્મા હોય?
હા, તો એ બંનેની વાત છે. This is the narrative about the two. But that is not necessarily the only form of hatred. So in every lifetime, there may be many people who we have had a connection with, either of dislike or hatred, or of a bondage of love. And we would remember that and have good feelings towards them. So during a particular lifetime, the focus here is between the relationship between these two souls. That does not necessarily mean that there were not other incidents of other associations.
Okay.
Because all those are not necessarily the focus of this story, so they're not explored in detail. But say, for example, if we look at the various incidents in Bhagwan Mahavir's life, and the associations that, say, for example, in terms of a positive association, Bhagwan Mahavir's and Guru Gautam's association from a previous life, as Triprusht Vasudev and his Sarthi, there was a positive, good feeling connection there that comes with them joining up and meeting in a positive way. Whereas the Gowal who sticks the nails in Bhagwan Mahavir's ears had a negative association in that life of Tripusht Vasudev as well, because he was the victim of the Tripusht's anger when he had molten lead poured in his ears because of a minor misdemeanor. So each of one of us has probably got several of those.
Positive, negative.
Yeah. So I mean, there are people that we get on with, there are people that we don't get on with, and we keep on reliving those feelings. And the lesson to learn is that in our daily lives, and then this is something that is very important for us to understand, is that the people that we are living with, if we keep on focusing on minor or even major dislikes about each other, I don't like this about him, I don't like that about her, and we keep on firming that up and reliving that on a daily basis, that accumulates a karmas that in a future life, when it comes to fruition and the two of us are thrown together, will generate a feeling of dislike and hatred that may become more firm. So we need to guard against entertaining these thoughts on a constant basis. And then the greatest danger is in the people that we live with, the people that we work with, all the people that we come in contact with on a regular basis. And this is how we all come together. So we need to really be, I mean, fate has thrown us together.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? You all remember the question from last time. Is anybody going to remind me? No?
Yeah, I think it was what change we could make, however little, in our life to, I don't know for what purpose. I guess
The purpose was to, yes, you're right, Ketan, change we're going to make in our life that would feed onto a positive, lead us onto a positive path that would continue to sort of inspire us and encourage us. So something that we can hold on to as for our spiritual development. So what virtue, what
Yes.
improvement, and that may be different for all of us. So any takers?
Pranam Ajitbhai.
Pranam Bhai.
Jai Jinendra.
Jai Janendra.
I mean, thinking on that line, I think I would like to develop the quality of acceptance so that I do not, when I do not engage in my passions, namely anger, greed, ego, and deceit, and therefore be on a better path and less karma binding path.
Yeah. Good. And that requires constant practice and reminding ourselves that this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do.
It does, at every step when you falter, when you have any of these, like anger, greed, ego, you should go a step back and think you could have done better.
Yeah. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Ajitbhai, Pam has messaged
Uh-huh.
saying a virtue that will bring happiness.
Okay.
Husband Pies also said equanimity.
Okay. Okay. Actually, very good, Bhavna. What intrigues me is that you have equated equanimity with happiness. And a lot of people would describe that as peace, absence of conflict, acceptance. But you've gone a step further and you actually described that as happiness. And that is telling, that is good, because if one can begin to understand the nature of one's inner being, if we begin to understand where Anand or happiness actually stems from, and begin to grasp the fact that that is a basic fundamental quality of the soul. The awareness of self brings with it the level of joy. So it's described as Gnananand. And equanimity, meaning not reacting to the ups and downs and staying within yourself. The Gujarati word is also called sthit pragna. Being aware and still. So the soul in its absolute state is completely still, completely at peace, and totally, absolutely happy. So that's great. So if you can see the connection between equanimity and happiness, and just pushing yourself a bit further, that happiness, not in the state that we are equating happiness as generally, when you talk about happiness, we are talking about material happiness. But here it is bliss, which is totally independent of any material connection. So yogis can be peaceful while their bodies are burning. Yogis can be blissful while they are in severe pain. Because the distinction between what is happening to the body and the state of the soul is so clear within them that whatever is happening to the body is outside of me. I have no connection with it. My absolutely clear state is that I'm separate from whatever my body is experiencing. I am the source of the awareness of that pain. And that is as a result of my past karmas. But I am beyond that. And having that blissful awareness of the self is great. Okay, thank you, Bhavanaman. Anybody else? I'm sure you had some thoughts.
So Husband Pie's just messaged again to say relinquish attachments and disconnect from my.
Good. So relinquish attachment from everything that is not of oneself. So expanding that, what am I attached to? So you're asking yourself the question that I'm attached and I'm letting go. I'm letting go of my attachment to my body because that's not mine. My attachment to my wealth because that's not mine. My attachment to my clothes because those are not mine. My attachment to my relationships, my attachment to my work, my attachment to my achievements, my attachment to my patients. So all of us have all kinds of complicated relationships with the world around us. And unfortunately, if we reflect, so very good, Ajitbhai, for bringing this up. What keeps us constantly engaged and attached with all this is because we have pride. We see value in our attachment and achievements. And we find it difficult to move beyond that. And we forget that we are much greater than all those things. And only when we recognize that greatness, we begin to let go of all these minor things, which are in fact, I mean, we've just seen that a Chakravarti decides to give up his empire of the whole world. And a Chakravarti's wealth is no minor achievement. Only certain souls become Chakravartis. And that level of power, the level of vidyas, Chakravartis are being served by devs throughout their lives. And Chakravartis have powers beyond, they have got what is called 14 Ratnas. And they are also the recipients of something called Nav Nidhi, 9 Nidhis, 14 Ratnas. And they are the master of the world. And every person, every other minor king is their subject and subject to their rules and their command. But in spite of all that, the ability to be completely detached from that and give it all up in an instant is the level of detachment that you want to be heading for, Asmukbai. So the ultimate detachment is becoming a Muni. Great. So thank you all for your reflections. Something that I've been thinking about, what virtue would I like to develop further? And if I reflect back on some of the very positive moments or periods that I may have, and when things become much clearer and everything else is forgotten, now the state that actually one experiences in those moments is something that I'd like to hold on to. So, for example, on a walk on Saturday morning, there is clarity which begins to make all the other ups and downs inconsequential, and you begin to sort all your problems out. Now, some of you who know me know that all my problems are related to my work. So Catherine is laughing, but the issues that come up all the time, and in the complexity of what we are trying to do, is creates all kinds of difficulties and difficult to sort out. And one keeps on feeling that it is within our gift to change the world. And it is those kinds of things that are sometimes what we all hold on to, and to get detached and to then get those moments of clarity as something that becomes your permanent state of mind. So those are some of the things that I work on, but I'm sure all of you are working on some things. So one other simple exercise for another week. It's still early today. If you want to carry on, we can. It's 9:15, but we'll carry on. But a simple exercise. And this is inspired by events that have happened in this week. I've been inspired by having seen a very spiritually ready person. Many of you might know him, and I'm sure his family members won't mind my mentioning him. He was somebody who was attending our Wednesday classes, who had prepared for his ultimate passing with great equanimity and constantly focusing on his spiritual awareness and development, and taking every opportunity to actually engage with that. And while he was entertaining his passion for music, he was a good singer, and he used to share his singing with us in the Wednesday class. He used to sing the Stavan that we would be currently learning about. His name was Pradipbhai Manilal Shah, and he his funeral, his cremation happened today. And inspired by that, and also the other thing that we've been planning for some time, we got a talk on end of life. What I would tomorrow, so that is the Wednesday class tomorrow is changed to an end of life seminar in Northwest area. So those of you who might be interested, there is a link in the website. And if you want, I can, somebody can maybe send it to the group. But the question or the exercise for next week is that for a lot of us, it may be the last thing that we want to think about. But if death was not far, what are the things that you would want to change and correct in a short time? So there may be one thing, there may be 10 things, but those things that we want to focus on are not material things. So I'm not asking for us to think about, oh, I haven't sorted my will out. I've not done my power of attorney. I have not sorted out a lot of the things that are pending. I'm talking about what are the things that we would have internally that we want to correct. And that span, the time that we have, maybe a few hours, maybe a few days, and could be many years. But are we ready to reflect on the best things that we could do? So some people leave their best moments in life in the last few days or weeks before their death. And what we want to try and understand is that, can we be ready for that at any time? A serious question, and I hope you don't mind me mentioning it, but for a class on Jain Dharma, death is just a passing. It's not something that we should be shy of or worried about or frightened of. So I hope you don't mind, and I hope I've not offended anybody by mentioning this, but it's something that may be a worthwhile exercise. But we are focusing on what are the good things that I'd like to do, what internal virtues I'd like to create now, what do I want to give up? Meaning, as Bharatbhai said, anger, greed, deceit, pride, all those things. And how quickly can we do that? And what is the easiest path to do that? So just some contemplation. This exercise does not involve you writing anything. All it do is spending some time thinking about it. You can do it at any time. Okay. Hope that is something that you find useful and interesting. I hope it doesn't hurt anybody. Yeah. Any other questions?
Ajitbhai,
Yeah.
you mentioned this topic about tomorrow, about end of life care and all that.
Yeah.
Is it possible to have the program recorded and forwarded to us members? The reason being, I can listen to it tomorrow. I would know what it is all about. But sometimes when we have family members, extended family members, who may not have listened to this program or something, if we had something like that, we could play it for them and let them know what is available, what they can do to make their life comfortable.
Yeah. So, I mean, this one talk where we are exploring the subject, so it it's unlikely to cover all aspects. So I think there is a lot more there. This is just an introduction to this topic, and we are going to be touching the surface of this. But yes, I will ask Professor Ben. I think it will be recorded. It is on the, I mean, Kavit and Mira might know, it is on the major Zoom account.
So just to advise you all that this is I think it's a Northwest
It's the Northwest, yes.
initiative. So we'd have to contact the Northwest team there and ask them if it's going to be recorded.
So I'll ask Professor Ben, and
Thank
if
you.
it's recording, I'll make a note that and request that it be made available to people. Yeah, but the talk is open to people from every area and elsewhere as well. So
Yes.
I think the Zoom session has got enough space for at least 500 people, I think.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Ajitbhai.
Thank you. Ish. If there are no further questions, Mira, anything on Mira Kavit on the chat?
No questions. Just Bijul has said yes that she's interested in the Snatra project, and Hasmukh has just responded to the point about relinquishing attachments. And he said an example of this is Bharat Chakravarti in Arisya Bhavan and Marudev Mata when looking for Rishabh there.
Yeah. Examples. Yeah. Good.
Yeah. So nothing else from me.
Okay. Thank you. So we'll end now. Thank you all very much. If I've said anything that is against the teachings of our Tirthankar Paramatmas and our Guru Bhagwan, so I ask for forgiveness. Jin agna virudh kai pan bolyo ho, te sabi manochan kaya kare, tasmichhami dukudam. Sarvamangala mangalyam sarvakalyana karanam pradhanam sarvadharmanam jainam jayati sasanam. Thank you. We'll see you all next week.
Thanks. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ajitbhai.
Thank you.
Jai Jinendra.
Jai Jinendra.